Hi, and welcome everybody. I have my Black River Falls Tiger Pride shirt on today because today's guest, and what I'd like to say is my featured co-host, is this year's National Art Education Elementary Art Educator of the Year. Listen to this. Her generosity and kindness is inspiring and unending. Her creativity is unmatched. Her leadership is solid and steady. That was from a fellow art teacher, Tiffany Belts, who started as Jen's student teacher. In fact, ask any student teacher that has ever taught in her class, and they will tell you that her influence has made an impact. So hold on for a second and watch this short video to see what her school says about her.
My favorite thing about Miss Dahl is that she's always so fun and creative with her art projects.
Her kindness and her passion of art.
She lets me sit by my friends.
She's really kind and really nice, and if you get in trouble, she gives you a warning, but not right away. She doesn't get after you right away.
She always lets us do things that most teachers wouldn't.
Miss Dahl deserves the reward because she's very helpful. Because she's such a great art teacher and everybody loves to come in with her for art.
Everybody in the school likes Miss Dahl.
Because of her good personality.
She deserves it because she's one of the best art teachers I've ever had.
She's amazing. That's all I can say.
So it is with great pleasure that I introduce the beautiful Miss Jen Dahl. Jen, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you as my guest.
Hi, Kris. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. I'm joining you from my dining room.
I know, it's just kind of the way of the world right now. Jen, I am so sorry that you didn't get to get your national attention at NAEA this year. And I know, quite honestly, that that's not really your jam. You're always about pointing to your students or pointing to other teachers. That's who you are. But I feel bad because the world needs to know who you are and what you do, because you just make an impact on everybody you come into contact with. So thank you so, so much for that. Are you ready to get started as my co-host today?
I'm super excited about this opportunity. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. All right. So today's lesson plan is called Animated Trees. And this is the actual teacher lesson plan. And all of the teacher lesson plans can be found on nascoeducation.com and also Nasco Educate. So Nasco Educate is a K to Career resource center for teachers. It's free. There is lots of free resources on there. There's webinars and PDs. So later this recorded webinar will be available for folks to watch. The lesson plans are on there, but we have also just recently taken some of these lesson plans and created what we call a student project guide. And as education starts to evolve, we know that teachers are doing distance learning. And so this is something that a teacher could have a student go on Nasco Educate, or they could assign it, and the student can do the lesson plan from home. This one is about animated trees. It has a little bit of social and emotional learning involved with it as well. If you want to create, this is not one of those webinars where we're going to do an actual demonstration, but we've got about an hour worth of time. So if you have paper and pencil, crayon, colored pencil, and watercolor, you can actually make while we're watching. So we're going to do a quick short video, and after that we will have some more conversation with Jen. So watch Animated Trees. Hi, I'm Kris Bakke, Customer Engagement Manager at Nasco Education. There are over 100 Artworks lesson plans available on Nasco Educate and NascoEducation.com. what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about how a lesson plan like this can be adapted in so many ways. This lesson plan is called Animated Trees. It was written by Noelle Burns, and our lesson plans are developed by teachers without claiming original authorship. So sometimes you may have seen this somewhere else. This teacher developed this lesson plan in her class, for her class, using these particular materials, and then this is how she did it. But there's lots of ways to do it, and we have developed a way that you can assign it through Nasco Educate for a student, and we will give you a sheet of directions for students so that they can follow it along, as opposed to the lesson plan being written for the classroom and for the classroom teacher. So this is Animated Trees, and interestingly enough, the grade level is 3rd through high school. Huge range, right? Well, that's because it's going to be based on the level of drawing that you do. And so we all know that everybody, when they first start off, do lollipop trees, you know, a little stick and a little round circle at the top. So Noelle was teaching her students how to create trees, and using the letter V and the letter Y, which is also kind of fun. It's very Sesame Street-like. So the first step is simply going to start by drawing your tree. And you are going to make sure to create a space in the middle to animate the tree. And I got a little bit ahead of myself, because that's what makes this lesson plan so much fun, is that you're going to animate these trees. Think about The Wizard of Oz. Remember when Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man are going to, well, it's before they met the Tin Man, they're going to go eat some apples, and the trees come alive and are angry and start throwing apples at them? Well, that's sort of the idea of animating a tree. It doesn't have to be an angry tree, though. So you're going to leave a little space at the bottom for the tree, but you're going to use sort of that Y and V. And obviously, if you're a high school student, you've probably surpassed the Y and V, and you know how to make the tree. And you're going to elaborate. Maybe you're going to pick a specific kind of tree. And the thing that I love about these lessons is that they are art lesson plans, but you can integrate art, or you can integrate another subject. So they can be a science lesson plan, they can be a math lesson plan, based on how you structure it and the assignment you give to your students. So start with a tree. I digress, so easy. Next, you're going to add the face. And so you're going to talk about facial expressions, you're going to talk about eyes and noses and mouths, and how do you get a happy mouth, how do you get a sad mouth, angry mouth, and you want to put some ears on it, and then get that all set up. And then you're going to start to color it. You can use, I just use some simple materials, some crayons, colored pencil. The student can do all of it in colored pencil and use the layering effect. They can do all of it in watercolor, they can do all of it in crayon, or they can do a mix. The mix is kind of fun, particularly when you add the watercolor. So next is going to be adding, coloring it in, and then adding the background. And I giggle because this almost looks like a finished piece. I left a little bit open here to show that you can, you know, take your watercolor brush and make the grass. And I even, these watercolor brushes lend themselves to getting a little bit frayed at the ends, but it's kind of nice because you can dot it in there and create some sort of little dot and some dirt and some texture. Make sure you want to texture the trees all up, but then you're going to use the background sky to sort of create the mood. And I just think the higher level you go in art, the more sophisticated it's going to look, a little bit more visually appealing. Clearly, I'm at elementary level, but at the end of the day, I was pretty proud of my sort of, he's kind of mad, but he's also sticking out his tongue. But this is the final project, and you can then mount it or mat it, You can write a story about it. You can talk about what type of tree, what type of season, lots that you can build on. It's a great way to use the 4 C's, and I hope you try the animated tree lesson plan soon. Isn't that fun? I super loved making these, and the YV trick. Jen, have you ever done the YV trick with trees with your students?
I haven't tried the YV trick, but it's a great idea, especially for those younger students. In my art classes, I want all my students to feel success, and any little tips and tricks like that help with finding those successes, because I want art to be a place where everybody is loved and they all have those kind of success. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I loved it too. Honestly, I've been having a blast doing these because I'm learning right along with. And so it kind of is fun when you hold up that picture and an elementary art teacher can see, like, it's not a professional artist, you know, because sometimes, you know, you go to like the national show and people have professional artists in their booth doing stuff, and then all of a sudden you get back to the classroom and it's like, ours doesn't look like that. Well, you know what? Yours will look better than this, is the good news. Also, too, supplies. So right now, distance learning, how does that whole supply thing work with you guys?
When my students were sent home, we didn't know when they would come back. So we sent their classroom packs of stuff home with them. So they for the most part, have scissors and glue sticks and whatever crayons they had left over. Part of my population that I teach as well is from the Ho-Chunk Nation, and the Ho-Chunk Nation also helped buy supplies for students that didn't have any. And I know that in my school district, the high school and middle school, if they needed to make something, there was days where students pick up supplies and the next part of what their curriculum is. And we also gave out supplies during that time as well.
That is fantastic. Honestly, it reminds me of the whole 4 C's: creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. I feel like teachers, and particularly art teachers, are doing that so heavily right now just in figuring out distance learning. So that's really impressive. And I'm giggling because this is an inexpensive watercolor pan, and I have like used it. I kind of am that student too that is just grinding right down in there to get, you know, to get my background color, but it's working, and you can make art. So that's exciting. And I love the creativity being thought of on how do we get supplies to students that need it. And Nasco has created some kits and is there to help as well. So tell me a little bit about how you're approaching the distance learning with your students. How do you contact them? How do you get them assignments?
Okay, so through my school district, we had a plan that every we do supply and curriculum rollout. So we were required to provide lessons. I only see my students once every 6 days, so I was needed to provide them a lesson once every 6 days. So I used online tools, but not all my kids have access to the computer. So I also use things like the music, art, and Phi-Ed teamed up this last time to do a fun bingo card that wasn't as much stress on them.
Nice.
Because away from my school district, I'm helping out my family, and I have a niece who's in 2nd grade, and my sister and brother-in-law are still working full-time from home. Plus they have Nayla, and they have a 6th grader, Thade. So that is a lot of things. So Nayla and I spend usually 1 to 2 hours a day working together just on her core subjects. So as art teachers and music and Phi-Ed, we didn't want to stress them out with that extra things that they had to do and buy supplies for. So we made it easy and simple. Each day I post, and Tiffany Belts and I collaborate, so we don't have to each do it each day, but we do an art challenge, and those are just for fun. But those are just supplies that you have at home. Today we picked a hydrangea that we found on Pinterest, and you can make it with bubbles from dish soap or shampoo and a little bit of food coloring, and it turns out to be beautiful art. But we've also chose things like things that you can make from nature. I had kids make beautiful stick things, stick sculptures that I found from my friend Tina. So it's a lot about collaboration and finding what you can find that the kids might have at home.
Yes, and hold that thought on collaboration, because we're going to talk more about that. Natalie shouts out a hi to you and I, and also Peggy said that she is trying to give her students projects that would require maybe just one color, or she might adapt items to found objects, which I see. I love that, and I love that art teachers are just so willing to share with the community what they have. How about, this lesson plan talked about, putting an emotion to the tree. And how about emotions, dealing with emotion and art in the classroom and as it applies to this distance learning? I feel like I have about 1,000 questions to ask on that, but let's talk about just social emotional learning in the classroom first.
Okay, so my school district is very proactive about social emotional learning. Last year, we actually have social emotional learning curriculum that the kids go through each day, in each week, and that coincides with all of the things that we teach and all the words that we say within our school. We use zones of regulation, so I don't know if everybody's familiar with those, but each morning when I do talk to Nayla, my niece, online, I say, what is your zone today? And we talk about it's okay to be in the red zone and be mad about COVID-19. That we didn't choose this, and it's okay to have those kind of feelings, and it's okay to talk about them. And I think art is a way to express them so very much, where sometimes when I'm sad about something, art helps me express something. Going for a nice walk to clear my head helps me express something. So when we first started this, we noticed, the Encore teachers and I, music, art, and Fayed, that we were the ones that had the hook. They wanted to hear from us every single day. And it was kind of surprising, like even my niece did not want to necessarily always do her math that day, and she's getting really good at math, but she always asks, is it art day or is it music day or what is Fayed today? So
yes,
that's a huge place for them to just let that go and to be.
I love that. Monday's webinar, the 11th, Cheryl Meal from Virginia is going to share something called neurographic art. Bring your Sharpies and paper that day, because that is going to be a little bit of adult social and emotional learning. And so I'm excited about that. I'll remind you at the end of the session too. I think, and you tell me as the expert, but it feels like the creative process helps us emotionally too. Tell me a little bit about that and how that helps develop who we are.
Well, I think creativity and art activities help to kind of express those things, because you can choose colors that have emotion. You can choose form that has an emotion. Because you can choose a technique as well. It can be splatter painting, you can be screaming, you can be yelling. All those kind of things come right into art, and it makes it so easy for art to show those emotions. Sometimes at being an art teacher, it's tricky with all those emotions, because that's where lots of emotions come out sometimes too.
Yes.
But I always find that I try to be supportive. understanding, and knowing that everybody comes from a different place and we all have to do this together, and we are trying to be the best people that we can be. And I try to make art always successful for kids so that they don't feel like that's a place where they have to hide their emotions or feel different.
I love that. I love that so much. Do you ever feel like there's times where you have to alter your activity to handle emotions?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so, especially now. When kids need different things or they needed us to back off, we understood those kind of things. I get that you sometimes are in the blue zone and don't want to feel like working. I'm also good
How many zones are there?
4.
Tell me what they are.
So the red zone is like angry, not ready to learn. And the blue zone is like you're feeling tired, or maybe you physically don't feel well. You're kind of just blue. Yellow zone is kind of that warning zone before the red zone. And green zone is you're ready to go.
Got it. Green is good. I like that.
Green is great.
Shirley added that the social and emotional aspect of our students has definitely been impacted since March, and art has been a great way to explore this in a safe way. I love that, Shirley. Thank you for that, because it is so true. And I hear that with my grandchildren. I have 6 grandchildren. They are 6 and under, so the 6, 5, and 3-year-olds are enjoying either art or the activity part. Some of them are not as excited about art as their granny is, but they do still express themselves that way, and it's fantastic. I love the zones. I had a little bit of a blue zone one day, and I thought, I don't really feel like going to work, but I live here now. You know, when your office is at home, you know, it's not like you can't go, you're there. But I like that. I think that's a great way, and it's a great gauge. How often do you actually like talk to your students like face-to-face digitally?
Because I do have a huge amount of students, I have nearly 800. I do not talk to them each individually. I do join their classrooms. Their teachers have been amazing, and when they have like morning meetings, I do try to join them. I'm joining one later tonight of a kindergarten class, and a Google Hangout of a kindergarten class is quite funny because you see their animals and their toes, and they tell you what's for dinner. But we all have to wear a favorite color tonight, so that's exciting.
That will be so cute. And I can't even imagine kinders on Zoom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably similar to me on Zoom. You know what I mean? I'm one like,
And me
you
too.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the world has probably heard you're on mute 1,000 times a day. So fantastic. You are such a great connector. And that's one thing that I love about you. You're a phenomenal teacher, but aside from that, you are so connected with the art ed community. In fact, Debbie West throws out a hi, Jen. And the other question too from Sally is, let's just go to this right away, Jen, is how do you stay so positive all the time?
I always try to choose joy each day when I wake up. Each day is a gift. And I really try to be the best person I can be, because if I'm not the best person I can be, think about how many other people that affects. I see between 100 and 150 kids a day. That's a lot of impact that each of us have. And I always try to choose joy. I've always just been happy, and I'm easy to get along with, but choosing joy, I feel like if you make it your mindset, then that's going to work for you.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true about you. And it then goes right into what I was starting to say of the connecting. You've had many student teachers, And
Yep.
I know several of your student teachers, and they have gone on to be part of this community. You were the former Wisconsin Art Education Association president. You were also a Youth Art Month chair. You took that over after Oberon Leslie, who had managed it and built it for many, many years, and you and another Jennifer took it on and took it to great levels. And you are also the National Art Education Association Elementary Division Chair. Why is that community so important?
I just feel like they're my crew. I'm the only one at my school district that teaches elementary art. I mean, I have a middle and a high school art teacher that I love and adore, but they're just not teaching what I teach every single day and what I do. So I think that having a community that can support you and make you a better teacher and surround yourself by those best people makes you even better. And I will always encourage everybody to become part of Wisconsin Art Education Association and the National Art Education Association, because that's where you really meet those connections and really meet those people at their level and become that better person that you want to be. Yeah.
I love that. I've met many people because of you, and I've also introduced people to you because I know that the more connectors you can make, the better you get as a community. And so NASCO is part, of course, of Wisconsin Art Ed because we live in Wisconsin, but we are also part of the National Art Education Association. And it's been amazing just to see all of these education associations reacting to our current times. I know that I have joined Friday nights with the Virginia Art Education Association. They have one of their own do a little demonstration, and I have been doing art on Friday nights with them. A blast, so much fun. It was kind of funny because I got, I posted one of the pieces of art that I made, and somebody was like, they kind of were like, who are you? They said it way nicer than that, and but it was funny. And somebody's like, hey, it's Kris from NASCO, and I invited her because, you know, she's having so much fun and blah, blah, blah. And it's just fun. Sometimes I just want to be a teacher, except for the fact that, wow, it's a lot of work. You guys do a lot of work, like just even preparing for these and all the different steps that you have to do to get it ready. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys have so much prep work and so much thought that has to go into every one of these lesson plans. Keep your questions coming for Jen or for the lesson plan or for the webinar in general. We appreciate that you are interacting with us. What do you think the best advice? Hold on for a second though, because we do have a question that says, can you explain the V and Y tree concept? I teach kindergarten and it sounds like something they could do. So I can, and I'm just going to use a Sharpie, is because the whole idea is students, of course, we're doing, can you see very good? Probably not. Darn it. Maybe if I do this. I don't even think that's working. But you know, they were doing where it's a stick and a round circle at the top. And so I'm gonna do it really scratchy. Hold on though, can you see that? Can you see that one? Okay, so here's where I started, and I swear I started with a V right here, and you can see a V right here. So I started with the V, and then I was able to take and make another branch. And then this, you can see when you do the V, and then it becomes a Y because you make the branch taller and you make it look like a Y. And then you continue to add, and V's and Y's keep adding on to, you know, you can even see this one where I actually made a Y so that it looks, I mean, I even left the little stem right there, but that would just show sort of how the tree grows, but it works. I cracked up because, like I said, I need some drawing techniques, and we started that with Angie Zabo once. But hopefully that helps. And I was looking to see who asked the question. And Jan says, great mantra, choose joy. She has 175 middle schoolers daily, and some days it's harder than others. Absolutely, it's harder than, especially right now, but your attitude definitely does make a difference. Somebody asked if they can rewatch a portion of the video where you created the animated trees. Mine did not start working. I will tell you, you will be able to watch the video again. It's going to be housed in Nasco Educate as a separate video, but it will also be, the webinar will be this is pre-recorded, it's recording right now. It'll have the recorded version on, and you'll be able to go in there. I didn't demonstrate, I just held up and showed where I was at, but I think you'll still get the idea. And honestly, if you look at the lesson plan, the full lesson plan on either nascoeducation.com or Nasco Educate, that has a little bit more of the instructions in greater detail. There is another question. A lot of people that say that it also works really well with special needs students as well. Jen, any tips on trees? Like when you do trees, what are your tips?
Whenever I teach any lesson, I always try to give ideas like this Y and V. I always try to give ideas to make it successful for kids. So I usually demonstrate in front of them, either using a document camera or them at the VIP table, and demonstrate what I think a tree would look like, but I always give them the artistic expression, like they can do it how they want to do it. But I understand by this lesson, they didn't want to have those lollipop trees anymore. And depending if we're talking about an artist, if you were talking about an artist who did it in the style of lollipop trees, then that's what you would want to do. But I always try to do an example, even though some art teachers say, I don't do examples for kids because I want them to do it. But I've found with my students that for our relationship, it's better if I show them how to be successful than to say, we're making trees today, here you go, kids.
Well, and I think that's sort of the key that you said. This particular lesson plan was called animated trees. So you want the tree to look like, you know, a certain way. What I would absolutely recommend with any of these project guides or lesson plans is to make it your own. So it kind of goes back to there's no rules in art, and there are rules in art, but on the creative side there isn't, which is my joy, because I always am like, hey, here's how I'm going to do it, and this is, you know, here's a little sneak around. And I love collaging, I love mixed media, because, you know, there's no rules. So yes, you can follow the lesson plan to the T or to the tree. Just, I think I'm funny, just for the record. But you can also make it your own. There's a lesson plan coming up on Friedensreich Hundertwasser. If you don't know him, look him up. Really cool. And I'm guessing he probably made lollipop trees. And
yeah,
so
he's the lollipop tree guy.
Yep, and so there is a time and a place for that too. And it is that, it's a little bit of that choice-based and that project-based and that teaching artistic behavior. All of those, you're going to, as a teacher, you're going to incorporate those things in. And as a teacher, you're going to either give parameters to the student for a reason so that they learn how to do something, or the freedom of expression, because that's the important part. And am I right in saying that, Jen, is like sometimes you're absolutely teaching them something, so it's a foundational thing, but then other times it's just a creativity kind of, do you love my creativity dance? But tell me a little bit about that. Is that true? I'm just guessing.
I do love your dance for sure. Everybody has a different teaching style, and no teaching style is wrong. We're just different, and we're different people. And I would never expect my students' art to look exactly like mine or their elbow neighbor. They don't have to make it look like theirs. Sometimes when I'm teaching techniques, though, I do want them to understand how to use a tool or a material, because either they can ruin supplies, like let's say we're needle felting and you're not using your needle correctly, and I feel like you can needle felt all the way down to kindergarten, they can handle it.
For real?
For real. With the proper techniques and the proper guidance, I feel like everybody can be successful with art. So there are those techniques that I think you need to learn, because before you can create something super complex. I mean, because I was a little artist too once, but now I could probably draw you a realistic tree that looks like an oak tree that's got burls in it and those kind of things. But I feel my teaching style is those are skills that you have learned over time, and you're building those layers of those skills.
Love it. Rosa, I'm going to come to your question in a minute. Dustin says hello to Jen and Kris. Hello, Dustin. But he also talks about having kids paint their branches upside down, because that helps them to get thinner at the tips, and it's easier for them to pull the paintbrush towards them sometimes rather than pushing it up and away. Makes total sense. Rosa's question is about the what she thought was paintings in the back. That is a quilling lesson plan. You can go to Nasco education.com, and it's a high school quilling, and it is based off of an artist, Yulia Brodskaya from Russia, a paper artist, phenomenal. And Sarah Shearman from Louisiana shared that with us. I am completely contemplating a lesson plan, or not a video on that shortly. I'm thinking about more of these in the month of June. My question to all of you that are watching today is, are you going to be toasted cheese by June and not going to be wanting to watch any more videos? Or will you be interested in some of those? I thought if anything, we could at least record them and have them on Nasco Educate for you to click on when you want to watch them. So you guys can share your opinions there. But yes, Dustin, I loved the painting upside down as well. And I liked, well, I like everything you say, Jen, is what I like. So,
Kris, can I talk for just a second about those lessons?
Yes.
It's still kind of cloudy in our future what specialist artists are going to look like. Our teachers are going to look like in the fall. Like my school district doesn't know what will come out, and will we be back to teaching in our classrooms? Will we still be online? So I do think that these will still be super valuable resources. And I noticed when I watched the koi fish that at the end, I printed a certificate that said I completed the koi fish training, and I can use that for part of my PD hours and my flexible in-service within my school district. So I'm sure other districts are like that as well.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, because we do have that PD certificate. And I know that there's different rules in different districts. And so we just hope that if that PD certificate applies to you and you're able to use it, we want it to be available for you. So thank you. And these lesson plans and these videos are free. So and you can do them on your own time or watch them on your own time. I am going to start incorporating doing a little bit more demonstrating, but part of the reason that I don't is because I'm not an art educator. I am an artist in training. I am your student, and I have never been more grateful for the 90,000 plus art teachers that are out there. I love each and every one of you because I learn all the time. And so, but I will, and I'm going to try to continue to have art teacher guests that can help us do some demonstrating. So we'll probably have a little bit of a mix of sort of instructional and the ones that are more demonstrating. If you love my hand gestures, like what is wrong with me? I just am so weird. This is me demonstrating in the air. One of the questions that we have says, if students don't have food coloring or markers or crayons, is there another way to make colors at home? I'm going to let you answer that, Jen, but first I'm going to say that my grandson, Jude, who is 4, painted with mud. That was an assignment he got, but tell us what you know.
So I have been making it open to them. Like Andy Goldsworthy is a great artist that if they don't have supplies at home, they could do nature art. They could take photographs. I mean, there's all kinds of different varieties of art. Found object art. Tiffany and I have planned for a little bit later making a masterpiece out of laundry.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of groups.
Watch out for everybody's underwear in that, though, right? Am I wrong? You know what I mean? Like, you might have to throw
that in socks. Starry night, here we come. So there's lots of different supplies you can have. When this first stay-at-home order happened, I did not go outside. I did not go shopping or go anywhere that wasn't essential. And we wanted to do something with sidewalk chalk, and I didn't have any. So I found in the basement that I had plaster of Paris, and I did have some tempera paint. It was a Nasco sample tempera paint. Thank goodness I had some. I really didn't have a lot of art supplies as an art teacher. I must do all my things at work. I didn't have a lot of kid art supplies. So I thought, well, they're not going to either. So I made my own sidewalk chalk, actually, with plaster of Paris and I did use some food coloring. And yeah, so it worked out well. I think you got to use what you have.
Yeah, I think that's true. I have seen a couple, I think, Sarah Krajewski, I think her YouTube channel might be Cool Beans.
Yeah.
I'll find that out for you. But she did some stuff with some food, and I know that she's not the only one who's done that. But like beets make good color. You can, if you have a parent who can help, like do some tea bags or some onion skins, like red onion skins. So sometimes you can use some food. Thank you, Shirley, for saying that coffee works. As for the Virginia Art Ed teachers that I do some art with, I got to find out if their forum is public and if you can join. I'm guessing they would love to have you join, but I will find out. What can you use in place of watercolors? I'm not an art teacher, but I love incorporating art projects with my core curriculum. Well, Kelly, you are the winner of the day, because if you are incorporating art into your core curriculum, then congratulations. We love you for that. But I will tell you, one of the tricks that I hear a lot from teachers is if you have dried up watercolor markers, you can get a jar, put water in it, and drop them in, and it absorbs the sort of spongy thing that's in there, and that makes sort of a weak watercolor, but that's a choice. that's the only tip that I know. Oh yeah, I love Marguerite says, how about old eyeshadow, lipstick? Oh yeah, makeup. If you have any, my kids would be so out of luck. I wear nothing, which probably tells a lot, but don't comment on that, okay? That would be hurtful. But yes, old eyeshadow, I love that. And what else, Jen? Any other suggestions?
I have a good Facebook friend named Vin, and he comes up with a lot of fun ideas. He had making portraits with like sticks and dandelions. I'm looking out in my yard today, and there's lots of dandelions. Using a plate or things you can find around your house.
The thing I love about that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I'll let you keep going, but the thing I love about that is when one of these beautiful human art teacher creators comes up with one of these ideas and shares it out, the next thing you know is there's post after post after post of people's color wheels made out of found objects, people's plate faces, and I love that. And Vin is definitely phenomenal at that. He may be one of the guests coming up, so stay tuned. We're talking.
So I won't share too much about Vin, but when I was a little kid, I used to love scraps of fabric, scraps of wood. I like mixed media like you do, Kris. So I didn't also have, when the heart challenge was really big, hearts in your window, I didn't have a lot of construction paper at home. I didn't think about it. I didn't really think that I was going to be here this long. So I used magazines that I got. I got an Oriental Trading magazine that day, and I cut that out, and it's hanging on my window still because it was bold and bright colors. So you can use pieces of your magazine. I like metal things that I could find in the garage, washers and nuts and screws, those kinds of things mixed with a piece of wood or bark that you find in your yard or going for a walk.
Yep.
Those all make art.
Love that. I am cracking up because Donna posts that she had a student make a caterpillar out of a cucumber. That's awesome. Somebody else suggested nail polish, which is great. Also, pour glue into a shallow plastic lid, then dip a few drops of food coloring in it, swirl with a toothpick and let dry, and you can then pull out the lid and punch a hole and hang it in the window for a sun catcher. Colleen, that is adorable. I love that. I love also too this tip, and it looks like from Marissa, of contacting local artists in your community to be a part of your Zooms. Like, that's really cool. I like that a whole lot. And then giving other suggestions and tips as well. I think those are all super fantastic. My brain is going in about 1,000 different directions as you guys post your questions in here. You can clearly see I'm not very tech savvy either. The Koi lesson plan and the animated tree lesson plan, they do have options in terms of if you don't have materials, you just have to be creative. Like these trees, go outside and gather sticks and maybe come up with a way to create an animated tree with found, nature products. But some of the other lesson plans that are coming up, I've tried to do an alternative, and grocery bags, brown bags are awesome. Magazines, I totally agree. I've been doing tons of magazine stuff. Newspapers are great. Food containers are great. And so just with the food containers, I'm just going to throw it out there. Just practice good, food hygiene and cleaning them and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, it's incredible the creativity that's coming out of everybody in this situation. And it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. I'm just going to say it that way. When you say like school districts aren't really sure, you know, how it will work with Encore teachers. And it bugs me because right now, more than ever, we are understanding and realizing how much art and creativity and making is so important. So to bring kids back to school and not have that be part of it, that could be a little bit dangerous. I caution any administrators watching to do that. You know, make sure to get that art in there, because that is that creative outlet. And you know what? I think everybody says, oh, you know, everything always turns out so pretty and fun and whatever, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into that. Even for the elementary, myself included, there's thought process, there is critical thinking, there's problem solving. And so that's what helps us later when we're on a webinar and the sound doesn't work. You know what I mean? That helps us keep calm. That happened on Monday, by the way. But that's what helps us cope and do all that. And you know, I know that with everybody in here, that's preaching to the choir. And so, you know, but yeah, make sure that your principals and your superintendents know these children need that creative outlet.
Kris, can I talk to that for just a second?
Yes,
I don't think they don't want, I don't know that they don't want us, but depending on what the rules are when we come back in the fall and how many students can be in a classroom, our new normal might look totally different. I'm always going to be there to support my students, and my principal and superintendent are always behind me and 1000%. But it's just this new normal that we have to navigate. So we have to remember that we are the creative team, and we are the ones that have to think up these new ideas of how this can all work and how this is going to go forward.
So yeah, I love that about your administration, and I'm grateful for administration that backs the arts. That's fantastic. And so, but you guys are the thinkers and the innovators and the ones that can figure out how to make it work. So everybody keep your ideas coming. Somebody said, I can't see the comments from the other watchers. How can I access the comments coming in? And somebody also saying, just rooting Kris on after our technical difficulty fiasco. That's Kate. Yeah, Kate, you're amazing. I'm not sure how you see the questions from. I don't think you can. I think you are at the mercy of us sharing the questions, and we're doing our best. I will say that I will go through the list of questions after the webinar is over, and I will answer them out to either you personally or to the group. But yeah, it's in this kind of setting, it isn't set up for an all group chat. It's more so to bring the questions into the panelists and then we answer them live. But we're super grateful that so many people are actually joining in. And yes, Kelly, I believe it was Kelly, there are going to be more lives. Throughout the month of May, we are going to have art every Monday and Wednesday at 11 Central Time. And on Memorial Day, we'll take a break, and then, but you'll get a bonus on Thursday. I will tell you, coming up tomorrow is Thursday. Jenny, who's part of our career team, is going to do social and emotional learning, games and activities, and that one is going to be at 1 o'clock. So you can join that webinar. You can go to Nasco Educate and click on the PDs. This is me clicking, click on the PDs and webinars, and it will give you a list. And that one is available, and you can sign up as, you know, right up until I think 1 o'clock and join us. That will be Jenny, and I think that's going to be really exciting because we've talked about it a little bit today, and now she's going to expand on that idea. Just a few reminders, just as we're about 5 minutes left, and few reminders is that the lesson plans, the project guides, and the webinars can be found at Nasco Educate. It's a K-to-Career Resource Center, and there's a whole lot of information. Lots and lots of it is free. There is some paid content on there. Right now, almost everything is free through June, in our hopes to help you through the pandemic situation. But if you have questions or concerns, you certainly can email me. It can be emailed at kbakke@nascoeducation.com. You can respond through the emails that you get from Solutions, and we'll just do our best to take care of any questions that you have. Jen, I can't thank you enough. You are just delightful. I love that you choose joy. You are a leader in this community, and I know that anytime I need an answer or help or an opinion, anything, I can go to you, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you, and congratulations for being the National Elementary Art Educator. I am so sad that I couldn't cheer you on that stage, but I have a huge pride for you. So this, my friend, is for you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Kris, for having me so much. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can reach me. Kris, can we include my email address from school? We can totally do that. Or become my friend on Facebook. I'm happy to share any and every idea that I have, or where I found my ideas from too, because there's tons of us. Let's be a community and get this under our belts together.
Absolutely. So tomorrow, social emotional learning, games and activities. Monday, bring your Sharpies, bring a piece of paper. If you have some other like watercolor markers or watercolors, you can add color, but you can also just do a black and white version. Honestly, you could do it with a pencil or a pen or something like that, but it is intended for a Sharpie. And just thank you all for coming. Thank you for all of your interaction with us. Thank you, Jen. Be well, be safe, and just keep teaching art, everybody.